Well, look at that. Welcome back. Aren't you all looking lovely today? I'm not including just me and Trouble. What a fabulous day for some League of Legends. We've got a very important match up ahead of us. Trouble, X7 versus AGO Rogue. X7 win this, they lock playoffs. AGO Rogue lose this, their journey to playoffs gets very tricky indeed. Oh, yeah. I can hear you. Oh, you've muted yourself on
there you go. Now you can hear me. It's so important again this game for X7 because a reminder, Dusty, the first seed from the LFL, only got second in their group. LFL grabbed first in that group. And right here, the reverse is happening, especially against a team like LDLC. You need to be banking up all of these victories because you never know what will happen on the head-to-head between X7 and LDLC. That's coming on later on. And for AGO Rogue, you said it as well. They only have one win on the board. Every single game counts for them, and making sure you take the top dog of your group is super important for the standings.
Yeah, and part of the reason X7 have been leading the charge, though, are some stats you pulled up on the LEC, and I'd love to re-highlight again here. Attila, the AD carry of X7, has been on an utter tear this tournament. Currently deathless, but still has the highest damage percentage of any player in the whole tournament at 34%. Doing extraordinary things for X7. 100% first blood rate for him and Kasing as well, involved in absolutely everything right now.
Yeah, and it's all about that bot lane for the side of X7, right? It is all about Attila. Viking is playing towards that bot side of the map as well, so we know that they do want a very potent AD carry support matchup, and that Zeri will not be given over to X7. AGO Rogue don't seem to favor it themselves either, apparently, since they're gonna go ahead and ban it. But for AGO Rogue, it's a different story because they've never been a very bot-centered team, right? It's been all about Nite and Rabble. The fact that these guys pulled out in last EU Masters, Soraka bot lane, Ivan mid, Rengar jungle with Gwen top, it was actually mind-blowing. So it's all about making sure that the draft becomes as difficult as possible for your opponents when you're AGO Rogue, and you can flex a bunch of these champions in 2 to 3 to 4 even lanes.
While AGO Rogue haven't got the prettiest game score right now, they are a team. They came out of the Ultra Liga looking like they should have been the first seed. There were some issues with emergency subs in the finals, but they went on this incredible win streak of 16-0, only dropping the last couple of games in the regular season, and we're looking like a really scary team. Of course, they've been perhaps a little unfortunate with the group they've drawn, but I think that's probably true of whatever group you end up in right now. The Amazon European Master teams are just so good and very, very powerful in this summer particularly. But even so, they'll be looking to still contest for that second place or first place spot, even possibly. It's a wild option, but it is still possible. To do that, they need to go through X7. And what do they need to even consider doing to bring down a team like X7?
I think you have in mind that Viking hasn't necessarily showed a wide variety of champions, if you will. I think all across the NLC he's played 3 to 4 champions maximum, so you kind of know what his pool will look like. And now, of course, the Nami taken away from AGO Rogue gives away that it's going to be a Nami / Lucian lane, most likely coming in from AGO Rogue, unless some crazy shenanigans happen again and that Nami ends up, I don't know, top lane, jungle, mid lane, any of that sort. But for X7, the very important champions that they've had has been the Lulu, has been the Renata for Kasing, since that Yumi has been banned away. You've got the likes of Sivir again towards the bot lane. Attila does resort to this champion if Zeri is banned or taken away. And with the Lulu locked in here, I'm expecting to see the Sivir. Doesn't necessarily have to be locked in here. I'd much rather see the Sejuani coming through because, you know, AGO Rogue are just not going to snatch it. They're going to go for the Lucian.
And Chasy in particular has been a bit of a terror on that Sejuani, getting solo double kills in the NLC finals on that to start off that series and the like. There's the Lucian lock-in for Lucky you called out.
Fast.
Very swiftly followed by the Azir in the mid lane. It is something that Tempt's very comfortable on as well, so it is a bit of a takeaway. Looking at the Aphelios that will be locked in. Of course, Kasing on that Lulu already, a champion there. We had a whole graphic on in the finals for him. We called it the Uwu champions. He does love those enchanters. And, you know, that is a powerful bot lane for X7, but it is going into that Lucian Nami, which FLICKR and promisq will be looking to dominate win as best they can.
Yeah, and I'd like to see a little bit of mobility coming in from Tempt here, something that potentially the Sylas, the Thalia that he has showed over in the NOC as well. It's a really good tool to actually have something like the Shuriva Shuffle from the Azir taken away by the likes of a Sylas. and it's something that creates a lot of opportunities on the map as well. Together, of course, with having the Sejuani, the more melees you have on your team, the easier it is to proc that Sejuani passive as well. And for all we know, that Sejuani could also end up in the jungle. Since X7 have that R5, they have the potential to flex the Sejuani until that last pick has been locked in.
And I do want to call out that Kane ban there. It is a bit of a Rabble special. Hasn't played it a lot this year, but has pulled it out once or twice. Not got a win on it yet, but you can sort of see the idea is that, look, get rid of some of these scary level 6 AD junglers that we're not necessarily wanting to deal with right now. And of course, need to see what Rabble will want to lock in. We know he's got some oddness, should we say. He is a Lilia player. We've seen things like the Evelyn from him this year as well, which I still hold out hope he might lock in, even if it would not necessarily be the best game for it. But we know this player is someone who has some unusual picks available to him.
And right now we're gonna get to see possibly the pick from Viking coming in. He can't choose to go with something like a Viking. He has been favoring that champion quite a lot. But it is if anything, I think this might be Chasy towards that top side of the map on the Yone, so that is still a triple flex, even though we know that Tempt does not really play AD champions in the mid lane, so most likely it's going to be Yone on the top side of the map into Sejuani in the jungle. I really like the Jarvan takeaway here, especially when you have immobile carries at the back, but I don't necessarily like just Jarvan being locked in if there is no other way to reach that backline, to dive together with the Jarvan and do that damage. And so far for AGO Rogue, there doesn't seem to be another champion that wants to dive the backline. It's very front to back structured.
Yeah, at least they've got the tidal wave from the core of the Forge God, which has abilities, which, if you lock someone in place, it's an easy, like literally shooting fish on the barrel. In this case, that's the fish shooting the people in the barrel this time
around. That's a Silas. If I've ever seen one, especially with the Sejuani jungle, having 2 melees in the top lane and the mid lane is extremely useful for proccing that passive for Sejuani. And since Sejuani ended up in the jungle, it's a very potent 2 versus 2 matchup as well versus Jarvan and Azir. You can still Ornn old Jarvan up, but why not just bring out the Akali? It is Tempt, and it is also another melee champion, so
it's another flex as well. You could strictly play Akali top here if you were feeling the need, but Chasy has been the Yone player.
Chasy does play the Akali
as well. So.
Chasy does play the Akali. Tempt does not play the Yone. That's the only problem.
Not that we've seen so much of, no, exactly. And I think that does make a lot of sense. Tempt very comfortable on the Akali, and Chasy very comfortable on the Yone. We saw him do pretty disgusting things to the champion. Yeah. Currently running Ghost right now as well, which is a little unusual, but can be pretty powerful if you're using the Soul Unbound. We'll see whether that Summoner spell gets changed, but do want to call that out as something a little unusual there, at least on screen right now.
And also since, honestly, you go flash towards the top side of the map if there is an ability, maybe from a jungler or the top laner, that you really need to flash away from. Something that really comes to mind is a flash body slam, is a cast from something like a Gragas. Right here, you've got pretty much a flag and drag from Jarvan that, if you're pretty clever on your Q usage with the Yone, you can actually dash away from or get out of a Cataclysm with it. You also have your ultimate to get out of sticky situations. You've got your soul that you can get out of sticky situations with. So I think Chasy, he's gonna run the flash. He baited us.
Yeah, he did. Unfortunately, I was like, ooh, Ghost, that's exciting, but never mind. And what is also exciting is you guys need to remember to check out the Amazon Gaming Week, which is still going on until September 9th. So at the moment, there are a load of deals to upgrade your gaming rig to the level, to level up your LoL play, from hardware to accessories and snacks, everything you might need to make your gaming life that little bit easier. Head over to the Amazon localization for whichever country you're in, and make sure to check out those offers while they're still going on. Only 3 days remaining, guys. So time to make sure you get in and check it out.
And back to this game for AGO Rogue. It is so important to start getting your second win on the board, because both X7 and LDLC have 3 wins already, and currently you're sitting 2 wins down on them. And if X7 manages to take this one as well, they'll be 3 wins away from AGO Rogue, so the chances will be very slim at actually claiming even that second seed from this particular group. Ooh, like Kasing almost finding FLICKR in this Tribush. But coming back to the game, of course, mid lane is going to be a little bit difficult for Tempt in the early stages. It's melee versus range. We all know how that goes and how the harassment comes from the ranged champion in the mid lane. But once that level 6 gets hit onto Akali, there is a bunch of kill pressure coming in, of course, from the champion having a Sejuani around to assist as well, pretty huge. And also for Chasy, he really likes playing his Yone into tank matchups because he pretty much gets to scale for free and do things that we know Chasy can do on things like Fioras, Jace's, Yones, all of these types of fighters towards the top side of the map.
Gragas.
Yeah,
he is that kind of player. And, you know, this is a guy who is pretty much fresh out of the Korean Challenger scene. I think he's been playing on Damwon's Challenger roster in spring. He came over to X7 and was a player who clearly had hands, knew how to play the lane in isolation, but was struggling to be aware of the map, aware of how aggressive he could play the lane. And as the split has gone on, as Viking has joined the team, this is a player who's gone from someone with good hands but a bad sense for macro to someone who is a true carry threat on this team. Again, a reminder, this is a team that largely averages up something stupid like plus 15 CS in every lane. And Chasy's ability to pull off of things like the Yone into those tank matchups is something to be pretty afraid of. See whether he can leverage it here into Sinmivak's Ornn, which again is nothing to sniff at. Another player who's got a lot of pedigree in the ERLC.
Someone who's got a pretty big pedigree worldwide is Tempt on the side of X7, and something that is very surprising to me is that he has so many picks like the Silas, the Swain, the Lissandra we've seen, the Talia, which he loves playing so much. It was almost permabanned over in the NOC. The fact that he chooses to play the Akali right here is that he sees that assassination potential, and it comes with the strengths and weaknesses of a Lucian Nami lane. The fact that you're so potent, so strong in the early game, so pushy, but you're so squishy at the end of the day. So if that Akali does get that access in the backline together with Chase's Yone, they're going to decimate you.
Absolutely, but an early chunk there onto Attila. The polymorph stops Lurker from following up too much, but Attila's definitely wincing there. Has to go for an early reset, even with the health pots, and lane just says, I'm not sure how easy I can stay here. Does still have Severum though, so with the pot running, decides, okay, I've got enough safety here to push in and try and heal back up. Running the barrier as well to try and mitigate some of the burst that this combo can deliver into the likes of an Aphelios.
And I think the only thing that right now is keeping X7 in lane in that low HP is the fact that they have, like you mentioned, heal barrier, but there's also no ignite on the side of AGO Rogue spot. They promisq has chosen to go over with the heal because FLICKR is running that cleanse. Having the Sejuani there, having the polymorph from the Lulu, because you're playing very close quarters, it's really important to have that cleanse to be able to free yourself of very long CC. And honestly, if they had the ignite right there, it would be a pretty lethal combo for Attila to sit there with 40% HP, right? And the barrier has been popped.
Does indeed, and that's great stuff from FLICKR. Again, we just, in the pregame, I don't know how much we've cast to curse the poor guy, been extolling the virtues of Attila, this guy who has such good stats, yet to die, highest damage percentage, such good CS numbers, 11 CS a minute for this guy so far in EU Masters. But FLICKR and promisq certainly taking it to them early. And of course, they are on the Lucian Nami, which is capable of doing that, but burning the summoners, getting the early attempted back is exactly what the side of Rogue would be looking for. As top side, Chasy definitely getting a bit of a shove in.
Yeah, and Attila is like on 10% HP down the ball there, because I was looking at the HP bars and he's kept going lower and lower and lower. And honestly, we've been talking a lot about something like a Katie Lux lane, who's like a very big bully if you get stuck underneath your tower. But people always often underestimate the power of a Q from the Lucian that's going through the minions and literally hit you with the tip of how strong that is, combined with a first strike, which gives not just more damage to the Lucian, but also gives cash back to the carrier. And now you'll see double longsword and pickaxe. The poke is gonna hurt even more that's been hit. And I think you can also switch targets right now from Attila to Kasing. That Lulu is extremely squishy as well.
Yeah, Tempt, though, has now hit level 6 in the mid lane, and despite being into this Azir versus Akali matchup where you generally lose the lane early, is dead even in the CS department. Now with that level 6, can start to have the kill threat that this counter pick is known for. You can outplay the Emperor's Divide so well with the likes of your ultimate and your Shuriken flip. So Nite does need to start to be just a little bit more careful with that additional ability on the board.
Absolutely, and of course, Nite right there has not backed yet, so
neither is Tempt, actually. Both of these late laners have stuck in lane
none
the
of them
entire
have
time.
backed. And it was very unfortunate, actually, because Tempt put down his ward, but Rabble was there with a quick sweep. So if he hadn't been spotted right now from Viking, you would have no idea where this Jarvan is, and losing control of a Jarvan, losing vision, sorry, of a Jarvan in the game is really difficult to play around as a Rabble. Talking about vision, he's standing right on top of the wall.
Charge. The assault is Arctic over the wall. Over comes Tempt, and could be a potentially deadly combo, but that ward in the river did spot them out. But I think X7 decide, yeah, we do not have the pressure here to really be able to contest, but Viking's still around. Maybe they want this still, but decide better. And we'll move away from it. Rabble not going to start up anything like the dragon. Does complete his Ember Knife, I believe that's the one it's called, and acquires the challenging smite, and we'll start up the dragon now as well.
Yeah, and these are the fruits that you get from putting down the seed of a Lucian. Nami, yeah, Perma Prior in that bot lane. You get to walk into that river first, and of course, since Tempt wasn't there, he was resetting, he had to TP back in lane, you had no setup in the river. This is a little bit of a different look, if you will, initialized than we've had over in the NOC with 3 priority lanes coming in from X7, a lot of CS up in every single lane. Right now, it is that Lucian Nami that has control over the bot side of the map. Tempt is actually holding on his own pretty well, as is Chasy, as happens usually with the 2 solo laners from X7. But this is why we also mentioned at the very beginning in the picks and bans that the Sivir is always a good pick for Attila and a second best to his area, because he gets a lot of control towards the bots on the map, he gets a lot of priority, but also Aphelios gives you a lot of scaling with good control over your guns. It can give you huge potential in engaging, disengaging, or dealing a lot of damage into a fight. So our eyes are going to be going around these 2 AD carries in the fights, because if FLICKR is able to assassinate Attila in a fight and find the backline, especially with all this gold, look at that damage.
Does have the culling already and will chunk out Attila, but doesn't pop the ultimate. Now on the bot side though, Viking gets onto Rabble, who tries to flag and drag out and does so, but Tempt, Kasing chasing over the wall, he goes for the Shuriken flip, looking for one more, can't quite execute, but a passive auto will do it. Over comes Nite, looking to trade back onto Tempt, who is trying to hold on to his flash best he can. Over they go with the Fate Seal, though gets onto Nite, still trading out, he flashes away in turn. Viking still trading out with Sinmivak, but he's got no mana, and that means there's nothing to be done. They get to the mid jungle of AGO Rogue fall, just like that.
And the Korean cavalry comes in to assist each other. Tempt is trying to get that kill that Viking started. Chasy comes in to help over again. And these are 2 very crucial kills going to both carries from X7 mid and top. And let's look at this again. You said the Rabble overextends. Viking does not hesitate a lot at all with the trigger. He gets onto him as well. And Tempt uses all of his spells to try and get that kill onto Rabble and capitalize. But look at Chasy. He has his eyes onto Nite. Dashes through that Shurima shuffle as well. And Tempt flashes through to actually assist with the damage, whilst Viking is actually keeping Sinmivak away from this fight. Very well done right there from the triplet of X7 to the top side of the map. And very importantly, really close to Rocket Belt for Tempt. Once this is complete, Nite cannot overstep in mid lane, or he would be under a lot of kill threat.
Worth pointing out, however, that the Herald did not go down. X7 didn't feel safe enough to stay out on the map with their health bars so low, and the fact that respawns would have been relatively swift. That is still up and untaken. X7 are in the game with a relatively healthy lead to their names, particularly in the top side of the map, while, of course, Luck and promisq beginning to pull off plays like this into the Aqua Prison. A lot of damage down on Attila, but he does have a barrier. Flashes away, does not want to stand there 1 second on the culling. If he'd stuck around, he would have been dead to rights, but the summoner spells are burned, and that makes this a very dangerous place to be.
I'm just gonna say, so far, I haven't necessarily been very impressed with Attila and Kasing when it comes to communication, because the barrier was popped earlier on really preemptively. Attila flashes away where Kasing has ultimate. I'm not sure if Kasing did have mana for the ult, but he does have it up. But of course, better safe than sorry. I guess you don't want to be giving away kills over to a Lucian. You want to be scaling towards that late game and try to stay as even as possible. But the communication has not necessarily been top-notch over that bot side of the map. And FLICKR and promisq are gonna be getting their second turret plating towards the top of the map. Rabble is also hovering about, trying to threaten a possible bot lane dive. There is no summoners or ultimate on Attila, so he's gonna step all the way back into that bush to make sure that he's as safe as possible. He's gonna lose that entire wave though.
Indeed, they'll crash the wave in. They won't look for too much more. promisq might actually stick around here and try and claim a little bit more. He is being very greedy here, but they feel they can get away with it, especially because Viking was taking that Herald. And Tempt is a known quantity in the mid lane. That will be a free play to make, as Tempt did shuffle forwards, and now Nite needs to be a touch afraid, but those 5-point strikes do go wide for now, and Nite will shuffle back towards his tower.
And due to that play in the bot lane, Kasing is first on the map. And this is why we called promisq's move a little bit greedy, because there's no way he was getting a turret plating right there. His AD carry was not going to be there, so cashing in a turret plating on your support is not really worth it for the game, right? And the fact that Kasing was able to get first on the map, put down his control vision, help his AD carry push out the lane, and then maybe again unlock that Lulu on the map is very crucial. Talking about crucial, Rocket Belt complete for Tempt, so 30 seconds time. Might be a fight breaking out for that second dragon of the game, and that Rocket Belt being complete is very crucial, because I do not think that Nite will have his mythic item right after this back.
Okay, worth pointing out that there is free ass boots plus Gale Force for both AD carries. The difference is the Kershi Shard for the likes of FLICKR. Dragon spawning in 10 seconds. Herald in inventory for the likes of Viking. So can drop that to buy X7 pressure in a lane of their choosing. But everyone is just hovering around this bot lane. They know this is where the action's likely to start.
Tempt and Chasy have made their way towards that bot side of the map. They want to shove in that wave as fast as possible.
So Sinmivak.
But as you can see, Sinmivak has also roamed all the way from base. So we might be seeing a huge fight break out. Look at Tempt though, very key position.
Does indeed. This dragon will be spotted out. There is a ward in the back of the pit. Rabble can look for the drone. Flag and drag over, will not secure it. And AGO Rogue decide against looking for the contest. Too risky in their eyes. Will be a dragon apiece early on in the game.
I looked at Tempt going in a little bit too deep with the shuriken flip right there. But it wasn't the case, it was just to push down the wave. And Chasy will be the first one up top, so if Sinmivak cannot make a play happen towards the bottom of the map, he's losing a lot of farm.
Attila's got no flash, nowhere to go. A wild growth only means there's more to harvest. Kill going to Rabble, and they might be able to shove him for a little bit more in this lane, but over comes Tempt, and he will try and hold the lane here. Goes over the wall, Proto Belt into the back end, doing a lot of damage, into the Shroud to boot. Can he get a kill, though? Will not get too much more yet. Still hunting, still looking. So much damage, forces a heal out of promisq. Into the backline, he goes promisq flashing away. Tempt is 1v3. Overcomes Kasing, Rabble gets a knockup, but gets Polymorph taken so low. Rocket now has to flash out. Kasing gets Rabble, and in the 2v3, Tempt and Kasing just style on him.
And look at the other lanes. Mid lane's not being pushed in because Viking was there. Chasy had already pushed that wave in the tops of the map because Sinmivak was making a play bot, and he had to tip it back top to not lose too much. So Sinmivak is an entire level behind. Viking is ahead as well. Tempt is an entire level ahead. And this guy almost tried to 1v3 in that bot lane, cashing in on yet another kill. Almost 8,000 gold ahead of that Azir, getting that Akali fed and ahead in the early game is so pivotal for your victory. And again, we said Sinmivak, you're losing farm in the tops, and what can you do? And that's exactly the answer right here. They do engage onto Attila, and I don't think Sinmivak actually got an assist from that one, but Tempt just got his rocket belt, dashes into 3 people, and look at that E. The second he lands it, he's not gonna go back in. He dodges on the bubble, and the second the bubble is no longer a thing, he will just dash back in. He has a lot of speeding. Healing, speeding out from Kasing as well. Kasing is going to end up being the beneficiary of the gold from the kill right there. But Tempt, what a play going into the 3.
And all the while, Chasy gets to walk into the enemy jungle with Viking, wipe that out, gets the Herald summon topped as well. So Chasy will get first turret for X7. He's now 1,600 gold ahead. And we've seen what happens when top lanes are left quiet and someone gets to scale for free against an Ornn. This time in the mid lane, then FLICKR trying to push the advantage, gets half of Kasing's health bar, but nothing more as yet.
So, usually, I don't have time to watch a lot of LPL and LCK, but I've been watching quite a bit of LPL, and I've seen a lot of Lucian Namis over there. And usually, what this Lucian Nami combo has in their sights is the Lulu.
I don't know whether you want this, Rabble. Gets knocked up into the Fate Seal, just taken out in a 1v2. Chasy's a monster and overcomes Tempt. Now looking to see whether he can punish the Ornn. Instead, he'll just be left to push out that wave. In the mid lane, though, Attila being about to be jumped on, but Viking's around the corner and FLICKR decides against it. Nite will claim the tower in the bot side, though, as a result of the pressure top. All right, does look like, however, the trouble has unfortunately DC'd, which leaves me alone to start play by playing a little here as Nite throws down the tower and the Emperor's Divide, but over comes Viking, Attila, and Kasing. They're hunting for Nite. The Emperor of Shurima might not be the Emperor for much longer, about to be living up to his namesake, Good Night. He's put to bed, and Attila gets on the board. First blood, and starts to even up some of the discrepancy he's facing in the bot side, and they are now up 2-4. 1,000 gold, and this Yone is well, look at it, 2,000 gold up, already an item and a half in. And I feel like there's not many ways, if that Fate Sealed is buffered right, to stop him from getting onto some very key targets. Rabble mentioned it in the pre-game, that that's a very squishy comp to get onto. I believe you're back. Hello, Georgia.
Yeah, hello. Berlin internet, sorry guys, but you did a fantastic job. I kept hearing you through Discord, but Viking has found promisq. Promisq is on flash.
Oh dear, remember that flash was burnt earlier on by Tempt, and that means this Nami needs to try and get out. Does have a Tidecaller blessing to speed herself up, and the permafrost will not be procced as yet. Herald number 2 is on the board. X7 got the earlier one, and are certainly feeling like they have the ability to really find fights with how strong the top side of their map are. Chasy throws out the Souls and Bamble, will quickly return to his real body, takes a bit of a trade from FLICKR to boot. 25 seconds, though, on this dragon as the culling comes out onto Attila.
And that's why Lucian is so strong in the early to mid game, right? Because you can take 50% of Attila's HP right before a very crucial fight. 10 seconds for that dragon, and it seems like AGO Rogue have already forfeited it. They walk towards the top side of the map. They're going to start that Rift Herald. It's only going to be the second dragon off the game for X7. But because X7 are actually delaying this, AGO Rogue might be done and dusted with that Herald and then actually move those up outside of the map, especially since Kasing has not much money to contest this, but the fact that I'm guessing 2.4k plus onto your own Yone is scary enough to dissuade the situation himself.
Yeah, Chasy decides he gets the wave shove in bot side, and that will be enough license for him to roam up and assist Viking on the dragon take. Didn't want to leave mid lane out to dry in case, though Herald wasn't going down. Not a lot of control in the river right now for X7, very much in the control of AGO Rogue, and they'll summon that Herald immediately in mid lane, and Attila kind of alone here with 5 members of AGO Rogue looking to shove this one in.
What's X7 though? Tempt is coming from the top, just coming from the bottom. Viking is also shoving the entirety of the AGO Rogue composition back into their tower, and that Rift Herald, a little bit anticlimactic, I want to say, because usually you want to use the second Rift Herald to open up that mid lane tower, but AGO Rogue were actually unsuccessful in doing so. So Chasy and Tempt are going to walk back to the solo lanes. Now, the problem begins for AGO Rogue, right? Because X7 are so much stronger in their respective side lanes, and even if you swap them around, there's still kill potential from that Yone. That Yone can kill your Azir, that Yone can still kill your Ornn on the top side of the map if Sinmivak actually overextends. And once the shield bow comes in from Chasy as well, he's gonna be so strong he could potentially 1v2 if a Jarvan shows up in lane as well. So I think AGO Rogue want to play as far away from Yone as possible, play with the timers of his teleport as well. So right now we know that Chasy doesn't have teleport, AGO Rogue knows that as well, so maybe try and find a pick on the map whilst Yone cannot join.
That will be the plan. There's only a few seconds left until this teleports up there, and that makes things trickier again. And yes, you can buy some timers in the mid lane, like I traded back onto this time by Attila, who's starting to come online himself. Weathered the early storm and is still very much in this game, even if FLICKR very much was in the ascendancy earlier on in this game. Only once has Attila died, and that's pretty good news if you are X7 in terms of managing this Lucian-Nami combo. Though they have now hit that 2 items, they're on the way to a 3rd, and this is the part of the game where this combo needs to start finding kills and not just 50% of people's health bars.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say, for me, if the Lucian-Nami combo, if Lucian doesn't get at least an item or an item and a half ahead of his opposition, has it really been a successful in Stompy lane? I don't think so, especially since this Lucian is gonna have to face a Yone with 2 items, 3 levels up for Chasy as well. And especially since Lucian is such a short range AD carry, playing into Chasy is going to be extremely difficult in the fights. Add Tempt Akali over there, who's also 2 levels above. I'd say this Lucian has got a very hard task, and FLICKR is going to have to be very, very careful with his positioning in the team fights.
Yes, a lot of weight on his shoulders to do exactly that. Maybe this in the mid lane could cost him, that's a Gale Force and a dash smoothly chained together to escape from a glacial prison attempt there from Viking. Still 2 minutes on anything like a dragon, so that ultimate isn't required to be up right now. Might cost him this mid lane tower though, because it's very low HP, and with the resets coming through from Attila and Kasing, I suspect FLICKR will look to claim that tower for himself.
And if you guys are not familiar with X7, X7 like to take the games very slow. They like to bleed their opponents through pure CS deficits in the lanes, and then taking that gold lead, putting it into items, and then team fighting you later on in the game. And later on in the game, you're gonna have a Yone that scales a lot, and Aphelios that scales a lot, and then you have a pretty beefy frontline with the Sejuani to create these engages. Plus, if somebody does reach the backline, you have a Lulu for a lot of that survivability with the shields and heals and all that stuff. So it's a pretty hard task for AGO Rogue, especially since X7 kind of outscale as the game does go on, because there will be triple threat coming in from X7, and AGO Rogue are a little bit squishy if you exclude the Ornn that's going to be playing in the front line. So anyone's positioning is going to matter at this point. Even Rabble usually does want to reach the backline, you know, cage that Aphelios, but the second you cage the Aphelios, did you cage the Aphelios, or did the Aphelios cage you?
Yeah. And if he's got himself the likes of a barrier and a wild growth behind him, not as easy to burst out as you might assume. Has started to get towards those item break points himself. Of course, the real threat right now is this Yone, who is 2.5 items in and 3.2 thousand gold ahead of this Ornn, who, yes, is low economy, but that's still a very alarming sight to see. Very difficult to disengage from alongside the Sejuani, alongside Tempt, Akali. So many dive threats that are so slippery. But FLICKR, as you said, will need to position exceptionally well. And with 25 seconds until the Infernal Drake, I suspect his dancing shoes will have to be on right now.
And I really like what X7 have done with their inventories as well. Hourglass, second item for Tempt. There's a stopwatch in Kasing's inventory as well. And as the resets start coming through, you'll see a bunch of control woods. The Knight's Vow completed for Viking as well to keep his carry alive. We'll see who he has chosen to crown, if you will. And AGO Rogue, knowing the resets are coming through, they're going to pull the trigger on the Baron.
They've got the Infinity Edge in on FLICKR and decide now is the time to try and rush this down. Vikings around, though. So this will now be a contest. They're going to be here. Look at the bot side. Tempt has TP, could come in. Baron's still ongoing. Nite on the other side, still got the crown up. Will Rogue turn is the question we must ask. Now down to 5,000 HP.
Yeah, and I'm looking at where Tempt can TP, because there is a wood right where Azir is right behind him. And AGO Rogue are not letting go of the trigger.
Here we go. Viking of the backside gets the Glacial Prison, tries to buffer out, but Chasy! Fate Seal only really hits onto Sinmivak. The turnaround is pretty good, though. Tempted to the backside. So many low health bars to Culling, not that great. Tempt back in there. Can't quite get the kill, but Attila can with a Gale Force. They get the topsider, and now AGO Rogue must extricate themselves. They lose a member, but do mostly get out in one piece.
But that's the most important member, because that is your front line, so you can no longer face check towards the Baron. They're very lucky to actually have the Scuttle Crab right there, because if X7 walked into that river and completely swept the area, it would be really difficult for AGO Rogue to face check. And right now, Kasing
is in danger, doesn't have flash, does have heal. Viking out to the backside, Rabble taken pretty low. Attila over the wall with the moonshot, doing a lot of work. Nite doing what he can, but it's got a stopwatch to buy space. Nite will be stunned, can't quite get the kill, does eventually, but now Chasy is here. Cannot quite get in range though, and Nite gets the kill and gets out. Critical pig as FLICKR dashes for getting Viking so low, but a rule on Nite. Chasy flashes to secure him, but now he's in danger and gets shut down by promisq. Another 1-for-1, but the man advantage is in for Rogue. Sinmivak has respawned and teleported back in. Tempt gets knocked up.
3 seconds.
The searing charge,
Tempt
but Tempt
has
start charging in, has got the perfect execution, and he's looking to do exactly that! 2 for the mid laner of X7, and only FLICKR and Rabble survive.
And thank the durability pads for how long this team fight has been going on, because Sinmivak died, ended up coming back in. He walked all the way from base. Same thing for Tempt. He reset, he came all the way back for base. But at the end of the day, it's who gets the soul point. It will be X7 right here. You see Rabble, he's sitting on the sideline, trying to maybe get a cheeky smite, a cheeky steal, but it won't be the case. And again, AGO Rogue were trying to pull the teleports from the side of X7, trying to find the Baron here, but they won't find neither. Chasy died to the backline, but doesn't hit many people, and needs the Sinmivak with his ultimate. But Tempt here, he's gonna find very crucially, Attila is gonna find very crucially the tank. And here comes a chase from X7 that is a little bit weird, because I do not have that re-engage to reach AGO Rogue, if you will. And right here, Kasing will walk away from his team, and he will be going down. So the Rabble ends up pulling the trigger on him. But Chasy still has teleport from the previous fight. While all of this is going on, keep your eyes on the timer from Ornn, because in 5 seconds he will be respawning. So all this back and forth that's happening right now, all the trading is benefiting Rogue, because their tank is spawning, but they've just lost Azir. But Chasy ends up going down too. Unfortunately, shut down over to Nami. And from there on out is the Tempt show, because his ultimate is coming back up. So you must be thinking he was screaming, go, 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 because he did have the ultimate and he could take down 2 members. And that's exactly what he did.
That was a fight of inches. Nite was a single auto off being permafrosted and Kasing getting out alive. Rabble, an auto away from getting out to safety. As Tempt, though, now 3-0-3, can start to trade consistently like this. Shuriken flipped his way away from the Bellows Breath, and X7 at Soul Point. They've got a 4,000 individual gold lead onto their Yone top lane, who has now completed the Infinity Edge. And this is a game which really feels like X7's to lose, even if AGO Rogue certainly bit back somewhat in that fight.
I'm gonna say that even though Chasy is level 16, he's got 3 points into that ultimate, I want to see a little bit more of his team fighting, because yes, having that Yone on the side lane is all good, but then AGO Rogue is gonna try to take the 5 versus 4 do you, right? And if Chasy doesn't have TP, it's gonna be really difficult since all the gold is on him right now, all 4,000. Out of the 2,000 lead that X7 does have. So if he flashes again and he ends up going down, it's going to have to be the Tempt. So
get the hook on the Glacial Prison to promisq, who's down, but now Tempt to the backside, gets Wild Growth, goes over onto LFLICKR, trying to blow him up. Got stopwatch, needs a final Q, just out of range. Flash from LFLICKR, gets the shutdown. Now he's surviving, chasing on this side, chasing onto Nite. Cannot quite secure the kill, but gets the Q3 to knock him down. The Mortal Will does what it can. LFLICKR stepping forward, but a polymorph from Kasing and a Yuumi emote means it's still a 3-for-1 in favor of X7.
And only the 2 tags remain from AGO Rogue, but very crucially, Rabble. He is the smite holder. His smite might not be up just in time, and Viking does have his. It's going to be a 4 versus 2. 8 seconds for Rabble's smite. It's just not going to be enough.
He's just not quite there in time. X7 get it. Chasy was just hunting there with the Soul and Bound on the charged Q. Decides against it. And X7 win that fight. They get themselves Baron and can start to really turn the screws onto AGO Rogue. Let's look at that fight one more time, however, to see how it played out.
You know what? I talked rubbish about Swain, Salias, Lissandras. That Akali on Tempt has looked absolutely beautiful. Dives the backline, assassinates promisq, tries to get like a really beautiful flash right there, actually, from Lucky to get away from the Akali Q. And Kasing was a frame right there. Chasy takes out opponent mid lane, and look at that. Kasing is like, ha, got you. Lulu superior, pops the cat as well for banning the Yuumi against him. And X7 after this fight, a very successful fight for them, end up getting the Baron as well. But again, it might be 4.6k lead over to the Yone, but my eyes have been start to finish on Tempt, finding these backline dives, making the carry's life so freaking miserable for AGO Rogue.
And then that last fight, LFLICKR did have the Typhoon upgrade. Vikings getting engaged on there in the mid lane, and teleports are being summoned. Everyone's here. It is an absolute party. Glacial Prison goes wide, though, and so nothing is put on ice.
That's perfect.
We'll have to wait.
That's perfect from AGO Rogue. They pulled the trigger. All they missed was an Ornn and a Nami ult, but they managed to grab 2 very huge summoner spells from the side of X7. Remember what we said. X7 want to play the side, but if they don't have to
LFLICKR does get a lot of damage, but now he's in danger. Chasy, though, buffs his way back to his body, but LFLICKR down at 20% HP, needs to be afraid. Rabble has to get the heal. Smited, not quite dead. Viking being chunked out on the other side, but it's just about alive. Chasy had to be Wild Growth, though, but LFLICKR has to reset, and with 40 seconds until this dragon, they're not going to be in position to contest this dragon early on.
And look at the bot side of the map. X7 are going to make the quick transition. They're going to try to back up their Akali, who's actually shoving in. It's not shoving in, he's shoving in the Ornn.
Does a lot of damage, remember, he's got level 6 with the perfect execution. Is about as damaging as it's gonna get, at least base numbers wise. Tower falls down, and they'll start recalling or moving over to head towards this dragon. 15 seconds on what would be Soul for X7.
X7 are still looking, they're still praying. A really good flank from Tempt right here could mean everything. He does have his ultimate, he has no flash. Hourglass still available, he's waiting for that rocket belt, and if he finds Nite here...
Gets onto Nite, but gets shot back! Stopwatch keeps him alive for now, but he's so low. Rushing down the dragon, though, gets that. That's the Infernal Soul. Tempt falls down, though. Sinmivak into the backside, getting chunked out. Glacial Prison did land onto Rabble. Out goes Sinmivak. Big chunk, though, alongside the double Cannabis with the double. And Prison. Chasy murders Nite, though, who was sealed in his fate. And Attila onslaughts his way into a dust wave that chunks everybody out. Gale Force to boot. And they will finally get another couple kills. Attila may no longer have an undefined KDA, finally dying in this game, but his vengeance in the late game is certainly nothing to sniff at.
An Infernal Soul with Yone, Akali, and Aphelios is gonna hurt so much for the side of AGO Rogue. They were finding it so difficult to find these fights. And again, Tempt onto a flank. He's looking all the time. Nite, really clever right there to actually find Tempt before Tempt assassinated him, and he's going to die. But the Infernal goes over to the side of X7, and we said that they're a triple threat team. They still have Yone, they still have Aphelios to do the damage. And even though Chasy right here only finds that Azir, Attila with the Infernum hurts so freaking much, having shielding, healing, peeling, and speed ups from Kasing's Lulu as well. He's able to run over the remaining members of AGO Rogue.
Chasy debated going forwards there, but the damage from Lucian is still nothing to sniff at. 4 items complete. Still hasn't completed the Berserker's Greaves. Has absolutely prioritized getting those items on schedule. Is still the only member of AGO Rogue with a gold lead. The problem is on the other side, you're looking at 3.5 items on Attila. You're looking at 3.5 items on Tempt. You're looking at 3.5 items plus stopwatch on the likes of Chasy. And we've said how well this team scales now with the permanent Infernal Soul plus 3 Infernal Drakes have been, of course, improved over recent patches. X7's lead is pretty monstrous.
And Viking's inventory also looks like a hotel holiday Trivago, because it's like, I'll get 1 item for me, but the rest of my items are gonna be all for my team. He's got the Nite Spell. I'm expecting.
It's not the reference I was expecting. Why?
He has the Nite Spell over on Aphelios. I'm expecting on Attila. Of course, because the more damage Attila does, the more healing Viking receives from that. And of course, Anathema's Chains, I'm expecting it to be on FLICKR at this point, because he is the one that is tracking down members, and he also is the one that's going to play short of range onto the Sejuani. So the item does give a bunch of value over to Viking Sejuani. But if you look over at the levels, level 18 for Chase's Yone. Oh, that goes wide.
Tempt on the other side, though, was trying to trade onto Nite best he can, but they'll get on out of that. I believe the Crown of the Shattered Queen was broken there briefly as Viking throws out the Dabbing Penguin. Got ourselves 40 seconds until Baron will spawn, and AGO Rogue are hanging around. FLICKR got a dash forward onto Chasy! Massive chunk onto the top lane into the Catapult to boot. Tidal Wave comes afterwards, but he's got them all too by the stopwatch. Rabble taken out. Now they can try and turn it around. Viking has to flash away from the culling, and it's so much damage. Lucian might not be a traditionally scaling AD carry, but my god, he's still doing damage. Moonlight Vigil went wide to boot, but they do have the man advantage, even the health bars forcing resets for X7.
Nite is going to
damage.
Nite's going to pile up onto his team, because he knows if that Akali comes anywhere near, he has the Shurima Shuffle. He can shove him even further back into his team and assassinate Tempt. And you see right now, FLICKR is low. Oh my god!
Oh my days, so much damage. Half of Kasing's health bar with an empowered auto.
See, Viking is looking, he keeps Tempt to the back line.
Tempt! He's into the backside, no waiting! They get promised you now. Nite throws down the Emperor's Divide, but I think the only thing we've divided is his health bar by 0. He's done, he's out. Sinmivak is going to try and charge his way away, but the Forge God is slain, and God slayers they may be. They'll claim a third, gonna try and recall his FLICKR, who does get out by the skin of his teeth, and now onto the Baron they go. X7 find the fight.
Yeah, FLICKR is back on the map, and Rabble is around. He is up and available. He might look for a cheeky steal, but at this point, if you're not right there on the Baron bar will melt away even without the Aphelios. Chasy is enough on this Yone to make it go down real fast, and honestly, I got caught off guard. Look at the double TP coming again from the Korean duo in the backline.
Oh,
that's disgusting amount of damage. And of course, when there's 2 squishes in the backline, and we're talking about Yone and Akali that are fed level 18 full items, of course, if the spells hit, somebody's gonna get assassinated and melted away off of everyone's screens real quickly. And X7 are just gonna pick up the remainder of what is there from AGO Rogue. And now AGO Rogue are left to lick their wounds. They need to find potentially a pick, because in a 5 versus 5, it is so difficult to beat that composition from X7.
Now you've got a Bloodthirster on Attila. The Zhonya's has been complete on Tempt for a while. You've got that GA and the Immortal Shield Bow on Chasy, so difficult to deal with. And FLICKR had to blow Flash to escape from Chasy in the last fight. It's going to be very difficult to keep himself alive. Does now, as I speak of it, though, get the Guardian Angel. But if you're dying in the midst of a team like this, I don't think a respawn can make that much difference. An Aqua Prison line, that will, though! kill onto FLICKR, and the Baron shove is going to be stunted. Attila chucks really hard to Rabble. Call of the Forge God is good. Nite into the backside. Gets a shuffle onto Viking. Not so who you want though. Resurrection coming through on Rabble. They get Kasing. Nite on the backside goes gold, and Rabble has resurrected Attila. Still firing out. Fate Seal flashed away from Nite. Knock up by Sinmivak. They're winning it. Attila still goes dominating. FLICKR winning out though. And Chasy 1v4. A go rogue. Find the miracle. 20 seconds on Elder Dragon to boot.
And we said they're gonna need one pick to make it a favorable fight for X7. And who comes through? It's promisq. He finds the bubble onto Tempt. Everyone piles up on him. And right now, with the Elder, AGO Rogue have bought themselves at least a minute and a half of life where X7 will not want to fight them. And Chasy, he might fancy his chances right here. It is a 1v3, and he can't even reach the Lucian.
So much damage comes down. He doesn't have the Fate Sealed, so he's got nowhere to go. Resurrecting the GA has popped as well. It was greedy to stay around. Elder Dragon has spawned, and no one will be around to contest. Are they going to give this up? Tempt's coming down, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And just like that, the Baron buff is stifled, and despite the scaling, despite the Infernal Soul, AGO Rogue have Baron, and AGO Rogue could still win this game.
Okay, so the game is gonna slow down for a little bit because right now, for AGO Rogue to make this work on themselves, he's going in now,
Why are you there? He's on to FLICKR, but they've got the Elder Dragon already. He's too late. He's gonna die again. Trying to get out, but look at the execution threshold. While Growth keeps him alive, and they're gonna try and retreat. They do so for now. Going forward is Rabble, still trying to execute, but now he's in danger. How far do you want to go? The stopwatch is setting around Attila. Massive Moonlight Vigil. They're fighting 4v5 against Elder Dragon X7. That is a step too far. They lose Kasing, but Tempt gets out alive.
I mean, X7 have lost their freaking minds right here. They're going in Tempt. After the Elder Dragon is going down, he goes for the montage play, but this montage play could very well lose them the game. That Elder Dragon will still be on all 5 members, and AGO Rogue are finding an opening right here. No Lulu, no Kasing on the map. No one's going to be sealed in buffing the HP buffs from X7, and if AGO Rogue want to push the trigger, they have an entire wave. They can finish the game right here, right now.
It's going to get bloody close. promisq so low, though. Gets chunked out. They are still dangerous. X7. Eyes on the team. They back away with the inhibitor. They can't quite finish it yet. 1 second on teleport from Chasy. How greedy are they feeling? How much do they want this fight? Attila still haunting.
They still have Elder. They still have Elder initialize.
There's the call of Forge God. They're thinking about turning it around. Viking, though, stuns him out of that potential run. Attila! Tries to get FLICKR. Tempted to the backside. Can't quite get the kill. FLICKR still alive. 5 seconds on his flash. In they go again. Gets the kill. Ornn is down. And they get 3. All of the top side is gone. promisq had thrown down the tidal, trying to interrupt the TPs, but Chasy's on a wave. Chasy's gonna try and get into the base. It'll claim at least this tower and an inhibitor. They're summoning another teleport. They want to end it right here, right now.
Yeah, and the rest of X7 are coming in as well. There is still Elder Dragon, and FLICKR is alive. So if FLICKR is his lucky start today, promisq with the Nami, if he can make it work, it's gonna have to be
He's gonna go back. He's going to try and come back here. Who's up enough with the Blade of the Ruined King? 40 seconds now on the Elder Dragon still remaining. But the numbers of Manchu choose. FLICKR flashes away. Viking chunked out, but they're onto the towers. Attila doing what he can to heal this one out. FLICKR flashing away. Polymorph cleanses it.
Oh my God!
With the take alive. Attila goes golden. Still had the stopwatch from earlier. FLICKR trying to play this one out, but he's so low range. He's been smited. promisq to the backside. Will get executed by a 5-point strike. In they go. Polymorph taken down. X7 4-0. And they're in to playoffs.
Oh my God, was this game too close for comfort right there. X7 almost dropping again to AGO Rogue. This was such an important game for AGO Rogue to win. And that one bubble from promisq almost made it happen for the Polish organization. X7 have to thank their lucky stars that they were able to turn this around. But the madness coming in from X7, chasing, wanting the fight, 4 versus 5 versus Elder. My Lord. Who is it from X7 to interview? Bring him in.
Kasing. Get in here.
Get in here.
Have you unclenched yet?
Why did you do this to us?
I mean, I'm just saying, you know, Tempt said sorry. It's okay. You know what happens. It's okay to get killed before 40 seconds before Elder. It's okay. Don't worry.
Was it?
No, it was close. Just a bit close. I mean, you can tell how calm I am because, you know, I gotta be calm for my teammates.
I don't know, man. You look like, you know how in the anime the character looks like very, very calm and collected, but in the back of the head is like full sweat. That's how I imagine you right now. It's like, I'm really calm. Nothing happened, guys. But please talk to us about the call after the Elder Dragon, because we were losing our minds how you guys wanted to fight versus Elder.
I mean, okay, I'm not gonna lie, right? We were thinking, okay, we were looking for a ZTP. We didn't think that they'll do Elder in time, but then he actually did TP just a bit below, right? And Tempt just like zoomed in. I was a bit like, okay, you know what? This is gonna be a it's gonna be a fight. We're gonna have to pray.
Spicy.
But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. This game was obviously in our control up until we basically decided to get caught on bot side. But I think most of the game we actually had it. I would say we played fairly well. Obviously, there are some turns that we could have played better. For example, like enabling us on bot, getting us a base. I think maybe took a bit too long doing this. But otherwise, you know what? The fact that we've made quarters now, right? I think.
Yes,
we are in quarters, right? Oh, then yeah, that's what I care about.
Yep.
Need to
At
go
least
quarters and first
seed
place
with that one, yes. All right.
Okay.
So obviously, still got LDLC, still got an North Assist to play. You're 1-0 versus LDLC right now. Obviously, still got some games to go, and this was a pretty stressful game to start your day with. How are you feeling about those two matchups, and what are your expectations for the rest of the day?
I mean, to be honest, I feel like, you know what? I think it's possible to go 6-0, provided we just don't kind of get greedy. And that's always, you know, that has always been X7's problem when you guys watched our games since spring, right? It's always been, X7, so ahead, and then they just throw the fight at the end. But this is something that I've been kind of keeping on top of. I think this is something that I want to basically improve on, going into obviously quarterfinals actually. So hopefully 6-0.
Kasing, I want to ask you a question because unfortunately your road was cut short in quarterfinals by LDLC over in spring, and now I've asked both GameWood and LDLC, and they have X7 as a potential finalist against the LFL. Now I'm going to ask you the opposite question. If he was to play against the LFL in the finals, which one of the 4 teams are you choosing?
As in, like, who I think is the weakest in a way? Because I'm choosing it, or
who do you think?
Do you mean
who
like,
do you want to play in the
who do you want to play?
finals?
Like, if it's the weakness, that's fine. I'm just curious who you want to play. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, obviously, after having played LDLC once, and we're going to play them again once more, I'm probably not going to meet them till technically the finals. I would actually like to play against BDS Academy. I think they look really strong, actually, and I would like to see how we do against them.
Okay, great.
Got time for one more question here as well then. So, obviously, it's been quite a road for you, this split as X7, and very up and down. What is the level of X7? Because we've seen such wild discrepancies here. The first half of your finals, the second half of your finals, the some of the ego from you guys in some of the pre-talk. It's great to hear, but that level back and forth, it's been difficult to track where you guys feel you're at. So what is your level? How far can you go in this tournament?
Well, I think we can actually make it a top 4 based on looking at all the level or the overall level of other groups and stuff. I think the reason why our finals didn't go so well is because the conditions weren't exactly optimal. I think there's a lot of stuff I could obviously comment about that, but I'm not going to go into detail. I'm just going to say, because you know what? I'm at home, I get my coffee, I get my sleep, I'm happy with that. I can actually make a difference. So I'm just telling you right now, excellent. I think top 4.
I'm just going to really quickly say before the interview finishes, 2 NLC teams, both over in the quarterfinals. Yes. Congratulations, X7. Congratulations, Kasing. You guys are making us proud yet again. Woo, let's go. That's it.
Well
That's
done.
what I want to say.
See you around, my friends.
Nice,
Best of luck with the rest of your day. Hoping for that undefeated run. Slightly biased here from the NLC casters. We will see you later on in the day. And congrats on your first one.
All right, take care, guys. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to talk to Kasing. He's like, yeah, guys, that was actually in our control. Fighting Elder Dragon 5 versus 4 is what we do every day. Like, that's what we scream for, you know? No one even sweat a little bit.
In fairness, I think if you say, look, up until we got caught in the bot side, I think the Elder call was perhaps a little out of expectations. We're sweating just a touch there, but we'll come on over and have a look at these replays because some of these fights got a little intense trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. I think FLICKR onto the Lucian right there, he was trying to min-max the damage so bad. He was doing so much damage. I think he was something like 4 or 5k gold ahead of Attila's Aphelios, but unfortunately for Rogue, X7 had multiple threats of damage. If Aphelios died, you have a Yone who's super fed, you have an Akali who's super fed and can dive the backline, and unfortunately for FLICKR, there's no way he would get anywhere near these 2 champions. He was continuously in level deficit, he was continuously in damage deficit, and being such a short-range AD carry for FLICKR, it was unfortunately really difficult to try and pilot these situations. Here, of course, in this particular clip, he managed to flash that Q very well done, but he ends up getting kachinged later on from the Lulu. But yeah, I think X7 had a pretty solid game. Mid-top, we're constantly ahead in CS and gold, which is something that we know them to do over from the NOC as well. And over in the bot lane, I think you heard Kasing as well. They could have had a few better resets, if you will, get Attila into a little bit of a better situation, because I don't think he was necessarily set up for too much success in this particular game. He had to do things more or less on his own, especially since the composition functions in a way where, you know, the Yone is going to be diving in the background, the Akali is going to be doing their own things, and you're just standing there with your Lulu trying to make plays.
You need to hope your Lulu's well growing you. And again, you know, for all that said, Tempt and Chasy certainly delivered with the leads and options they were given, and plays like this where you can just delete the squishy members of AGO Rogue made sure that X7, when they did manage to pull off these teleport flanks, were able to get so much work done. And AGO Rogue, yes, they kept FLICKR alive and he played to the edge so well, but it always felt like it was such a tricky line for them to walk. You can see right there, 55,000 damage in 40 minutes. A really impressive showing from FLICKR, even if it wasn't enough to claim the win here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen this guy last split in spring. He was playing the likes of Sorakas, he was playing AP Mages, he was playing Enchanters, he was playing Marksman. But right here, he tried his damn hardest on this Lucian. It just absolutely was not enough versus this X7 lineup. And let's see what the standings actually look like right now, because they have formed quite differently. X7 still at the very top of the list. And for AGO Rogue, this is where the red bell starts sounding. They are not allowed to lose a single game from now on, but they also have to hope that LDLC don't win a game from here on out.
That is difficult. Such a challenge ahead. At least LDLC's future games are against AGO Rogue themselves, and of course X7, so they have at least some control there. But if they want to keep that dream alive, they must first beat the Greek representatives in a North Assist at Famagusta, which is coming up after the break. So all you Polish fans, stick around. This is the one for you. We're back in a minute or two.